And we are making the first virtual reality game at GamePipe. So it's kind of a big deal for us. We had our first iteration, and what it's designed to do is to help you memorize text-based documents that you really want to know. But it's more than a game, honestly. It's a virtual reality mind hack. We take the spatial memory mnemonics of a competitive memorizer and implement them in virtual reality, where you can explore with presence and immersion. And there have been research since the 60s that say that if you associate information with locations, that's actually the best way to memorize new pieces of information. So we created a prototype, and that's what's playing up there, and we got some feedback. Some people were thinking that, unfortunately, our environments were, ironically, not memorable. So we had to redesign that portion of it as well. And we're coming up to the review gate over there in a second, which is good, because you'll see how vague the pictures are of each, of the location of each thing. So it's kind of hard to tell where everything was. And on top of that, there were various bugs that just pulled people out of the immersive state. So it kind of defeated the purpose of going into VR at all. But the biggest one was that you're wondering, why are we memorizing a grocery list? So we used a grocery list as just the first piece of information because it was easy and we had all the assets for it. But after getting all this feedback, we had an awesome Wednesday meeting and we got an idea. We decided to create a narrative that would drive the story and serve as a proof of concept. Will you tell us about it?
Sure. So we actually made a lot of design changes, which I'll tell you about in a second. The first of which is the tutorial that you said, and we found someone, Logan, from the School of Cinematic Arts, to help us out with this. So we took a few days, and he came back with several ideas. The one that he chose was that you're a person who's remembering the past. You start off in a library, and you have a book in front of you. It's kind of like a scrapbook or a book of nostalgia. You go inside, and then you go into a scene where you go around and exploring memories from your past. You come back, and then you go into the book again after having a brief tutorial session, and then you go to the next season, the next season, and the next season. And by the end, you've seen everything in your past, and it's a story that we feel is quite compelling. So another design change that we had was the look and the style of the game. So we had another new person, his name is Nick. He had a lot of experience with this. He's an expert in Maya. And he came with several design principles that we're going to have. So he told us about the edges that you have to like be within a certain realm, and the player has to know those boundaries. Paths that you can walk along, and it's very obvious where the next thing is. There's districts, so that when you're in a certain place, you kind of know that it's distinct from all the other places, and landmarks. So those are the objects in the scene that can help you remember what's there. So based on those design principles, that helped out our other artists because we didn't have to make so many scenes. We have the same scene, and it's just different seasons. So that actually means that we have less content to create. It also helped the engineers because once they make an object, it actually applies to many different things. For instance, if they make a tree, the tree applies to so many different things. So narrowing down the scope actually helped out our flow a lot more. And finally, the changes in audio design. We had another great person, David. He's a USC grad, but he came back to help us out with the project, and it took a lot of time to make original music for us. So for instance, you might know that sound actually makes the game, and we feel that the sound that he created actually helps the flow of the game. So in the original scene, in the original season, the spring season, it's very nice and light and fluffy, but by the end, by the fourth season, because it's a sad-driven, drama-driven plot, the sound is very somber and it's lonely, and you can kind of, it helps with your memory, and it also helps with the flow of the game. Yeah, so this is the part where I'm supposed to go into the tutorial and to kind of walk you through the season, through the session, but we actually have something even better for you. and the different colors that we're using in each. So, what's the video of the gameplay? So once you come up to an object, you can see that you're supposed to remember the thing that's there, and then you read the back of the pedestal, and hopefully the concept of reading what's there and the object is going to help you remember. So without further ado, I'll switch over to Raj who will tell you about the engineering part.
Alright, so we're gonna play a game, basically a run through of the game on this monitor while I talk about engineering. It's basically the same as it's hard to showcase actual VR experience, so we have this is our player tab.
So the point of the library hub was just to well, the point of this tutorial is to entertain players while testing their memory and to introduce them into how to go from place to place, and that they should remember what is at each node. And the main thing is that we want to hack their minds, so that by the end they're going to ask, what's next? What else can we learn like this? And so they'll be switching from the library hub to the spring season, to the library hub back again, and then to the summer season back to the library hub. Well, each time when they come back, they'll have a little memory test that will help them. It'll challenge them to remember where everything was, which is the point of the game.
So that memory test is something that we've been iterating on a lot. We find that it's important for us to have the users basically have a backup or have a extra review session of making sure they remember what stuff is. So we had 3 iterations of it. The first one you saw on the website, it was basically matching a picture to which object, which are randomly shuffled, but we found that all people were memorizing was just the order of objects. So they were walking through and just trying to remember the order, which is more short-term memory. Whereas what we wanted is for them to associate a specific location in the world with the object itself. So iteration 2, we tried that with screenshots. But yeah, iteration 2, we tried it with screenshots, but screenshots didn't really get what we wanted. They were kind of vague and we couldn't really figure out where you were. So finally what we decided was, in-game we're going to have a mini-map, and the objects that you're going to be collecting on that walkthrough. So anytime you come close to a pedestal, you collect the object, and you can look down on the mini-map and see where you are. And then we test you on those general locations, whether you remember, oh, one object was in this corner when I was over here. So you have a general understanding of the area that the object was. Other than that, our engineering was pretty similar to the midterm. We were focusing on optimization for the gear, keeping it under our standard 50K triangles and 50 draw calls per frame. So we're making sure we could step that up, and then we're also investigating into different shaders used. So, for example, this is using, or we're starting to look into tune shaders and basically trying to eliminate as many calculations as possible before sending it out. And we also optimized our pipeline where we receive environments from the artists and are easily able to place pedestals in them and ship them out. And because of this, in our next semester, when we're going to be doing basically procedurally generated environments or different environments coming from artists, we can easily take our level data it's basically level metadata, and easily have artists decide where the pedestal is moving on. It'll just be a seamless flow.
Alright, so all this was the aesthetics part, that's what you're seeing, but the vision of the game is something else. We want procedurally generated environments in the future. So the goal of the game is to convert digital documents to memory files. So what is the magic that has to go? So the pre-processing requires automatic text processing with asset association. And for this, we need to make use of natural language processing. I think in the midterm presentation, I almost taught everybody how to do information retrieval. It's a new subject for almost everybody in our team, and we had to dig in a lot to understand how to do it for this game. So, usually in natural language processing, you input a text and the output you get is also a text. But for our game, the input is text and the output is a 3D object. Now, how do we do that? Not just about the object, we also need to pull out environments that are theme-based. So, example, if you're reading something really sad, you don't want to read that in a summery environment. So, how do we do that? After a lot of digging, we came to know that it requires a lot of deep learning concepts. And for this, the technology is not yet here. So if recall's vision is this, and recall is at this stage currently, the technology is also at this stage. So we are kind of flawed, but that's okay. After a lot of digging, we came up with a block diagram, but basic flow of recall is this. You upload a document, it gets sliced up into topics, each topic becomes an environment. With an environment, you go from location to location where there is no point here, and you have a pedestal, which is a platform. Now, in this game, we are using only podiums, but the platform could be anything. It could be a podium, it could be a table, name it. And the key item is the most relevant object to the context that you're reading based on the keywords. And then you go on a path, and then you have a review session. You go to the tunnel, which is the hub, and you go to the next environment. How do we do that? This is the whole game flow for processing. So you input a digital document, upload it on the server. That is the text processing side, and this is how we generate environments. We came up with this block diagram, and it was approved by Sinchin's colleague Brian, who has expertise in virtual reality and natural language processing. So we were very happy. But we could figure out only the yellow parts. We still don't know which technology is here or which software to use for the other part, wherein we have to pull out theme-based environments and automatically adjust the path and your points. So for the yellow highlighted parts, we used rapid automatic keyword extractor just to see if it's in work, and we'll quickly show you how to do it.
You want me to show the code?
No, only the console. So we used RAID, which is rapid automatic keyword extractor. We wrote a code. Okay, you cannot see anything. Wherein you can input a sentence and you can pull out all the keywords. So the sentence goes in. The way we do it is you scan the whole thing, chunk it, parse it, blah, 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 get the keyword, and then how do you get the key item? For that, we need to associate it with tags. So that's what it does. Here, you can see we input a sentence, and toy boat gets the highest weight. Now, we need to create a file for our assets with all the relevant tags, and the highest keyword is the one that gets pulled out, and we wrote a code for that, and toy boat is the item that gets picked up. That's because we have made our file in such a way. Now this can be, the code can be changed to work for paragraph, but here we just show you how to do it for a sentence. So that's a success for us. That's like a starting point for us to do procedural environment generation. And so next, for the audio part, we have David, who is creating really awesome music for us. But binaural audio is the best for virtual reality, if you ask me why. Because virtual reality, in that when a person puts on the headset, they're always at the exact center. And with binaural, it can seamlessly track your head and you get more immersive experience. For those of you who don't know what is binaural, it is not the same as surround sound. In surround, in surround, you just put multiple speakers, extra speakers in order to create an illusion of immersion. But for binaural, you literally have a dummy head that has two microphones attached to the ears, and those ears are designed pretty much like how human ears work. So binaural works by taking into account loudness, timbre, and distance. So when you have a source that plays, the sound waves just go, they get reflected based on ampina, and it makes, we make something called head-related transfer functions, and it is unique for everybody. The way you listen to it is not the same way I listen to it, and for that, we have a demo on the Samsung Gear. If anybody wants to try out binaural audio, you're welcome to. I cannot play it out because you can only hear it through headphones. You do not get the immersion otherwise. But in our demo, what we have is we have 4 objects. One object rotates around you, so you can hear how the sound goes when it is moving around you. Another is an object that goes from front, from top to bottom, and then you can actually hear how the sound goes. For a lot of people, they face front to back confusion, meaning when I play a sound here, you hear it back. And if I do it back, you think that it is coming from front. And that way it is from person to person. So you can check out through our demo whether you have front and back confusion. We have another object in the demo which is like a static object, and it serves as a sound cue for you to actually rotate and see that there is an object that is playing. And we have one object that has stereo, and you can quickly figure out that what is the difference between binaural and stereo. So for next semester, we have our audio designer learning WISE, which helps in layered dynamic audio. And for this, we used 2-bit 3D deception to create immersive audio. Coming to production, we had a successful semester. This is the first project to come out of our club, Virtual Reality Club at USC, VRSC. And this is the first project in AGP 2. And we got invited to SIMT. That's where we got most of our feedback. And we understood where we stand in terms of technology. And after SIMT, we had a wonderful meeting on a Wednesday, and we came up with the whole design plan. We have more members in our team. Now we are 17. Previously, we had a lot of trouble because we are such a small team. Most of them we work in groups of 2 or 1, and we all are learning at the same time how to develop it. We are, we have swag, and
We have some swag.
we got brains.
Always.
Yeah, we've got brains.
Stress balls.
To help you remember. They didn't get it.
So yeah, our new members include an architect, an engineer, a cinematographer, and a writer. So pretty much we have our website redesigned, and we figured text processing. So pretty much next semester is all text processing and audio. How to do binaural first.
And then finally procedural environment generation.
Yeah, and
So we can start actually uploading documents that we want to learn and then experiencing them in VR. That's where we're at.
another thing is that our team is going to Vegas in April to present a recall in NAB. Okay, perfect.
Any questions?
So the overall look and feel of the game has really come an incredibly long way since the midterm. Congratulations to you and the team. I think that you're hitting on some of the most vital things, and that is that the environments themselves and the actual location where your objects are absolutely have to be unique, and otherwise it's all short-term memory. You have to dig into the back of that brainstem to that part of the brain that actually places an object in a tangible world space, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. I love the direction you're going with regards to the overall design. I'm also really encouraged by the progress that you've been making with the text parsing. It's a huge hurdle. So my question for you is, what will be the current state of recall at Showcase, and what do you see as your most important milestones going into the next semester?
The current state of, at the Showcase, we still need to fix a couple things with our current iteration to make it smooth all the way through, and to implement the third review gate to be more intuitive and to just work more naturally. So you feel like you're in a library, and when you're physically sitting down, you're also physically sitting down in the library, and you can't move around. So that's when it feels a little bit more like reality, but then you pour it into the dream world, and even though you still have the book, it's like you're in a dream, which is why we're using the tutor shaders, why we're using that other stuff. So most of that is done. Most of that is done. And we'll have I think probably like a 15-minute VR demo that people can walk through and read this narrative that is actually pretty good. I don't know if you guys were reading along with it, but it's real sad, but it's a good ending. It's a very good ending. And our main goal for next semester is to springboard off of what we learn from this tutorial to see how well it teaches people to use this method. Tutorial is almost a bad word. It's a proof of concept, really, and we want to make it generalizable so that you can upload any document that you want to know and then explore it in VR. That's what we're doing. Any more questions? Alrighty, cool.
Wait, one more question. I just want to ask, so the team is going to 17. Do you currently have, where are you with regards to your team members? Do you have enough artists? Do you have enough audio engineers, etc.?
We have one audio designer, we have 4 artists, one writer, one level designer who's an architect, and 1, 4, 5, 6, 7 engineers.
And as I mentioned, that's one of the major benefits of having the seasons. So we don't just have to do it for this level, we can also do another tutorial, but it's just one scene that we're creating, and that allows you to have several different scenarios.
When it comes to audio, our audio designer and me, we will be working under Shannon Summers, who runs the experimental audio design lab in the cinema school. She has expertise in sound design. She wants to help recall in designing sound for memory retention. So while David would be learning voice in winter break, I would be learning on more of the audio signal processing side, and we'll be collaborating together with Shannon Summers to work for recall.
And that's a really exciting collaboration, because that'll give us a really good shot at being able to help every type of person learn in the best way that they can. Whether it's an aesthetic and you're walking through, or visual and you're seeing the text as well as everything else, or auditory and you're hearing what is associated with the objects.
Also, I'm pretty sure by now this is, we can call this a dead horse that I've been beating, but I would like to make sure that you are including game analytics.
The analytics that we're going to be going for are gaze tracking, position with time, so we can see how much time they're spending at each spot.
Perfect.
And that's the main thing that we want to know. But after that, we want to do some testing to see, just to see how well this works. We haven't been able to do like a proper clinical trial, but some preliminary tests have shown that even our first iteration was successful in increasing your ability to memorize information. When we told you, okay, we're going to test you, please remember this, and we just went to college students and asked them to play the game. It took them about 8 minutes to finish the game, to get through 15 words, but on average, it's about 13 about 13 words out of 15 were memorized. Whereas without it, if you just show them a flashcard of the word for about as much time as they would be seeing it if they were exploring, less than 10. So.
Okay. When you are ready to do analytics, just as an aside, Rin wrote the analytics gaze system for DreamWorks VR, so be sure to hit him up for some knowledge.
More of a technical question. So you're saying that you once you get an asset like a tree, then you don't have to do anything more with it because it adapts to all your seasons. So is that like did you write like custom shaders for each season? So it just basically when you import the asset, it just takes care of the coloring based on the season?
Yeah, basically, well, right now we're duplicating materials, but if the scenes only use a specific material, but based on when we pull out a mood or something like that, we'll be able to substitute in the material for a specific, any asset like a tree. So it's just a different material for each type of season in this case.